Hey, I'm Hillary. I wanted to chat with you about allocating revenue. So, a little bit about me. I'm a chiropractor by mostly day, and then I also do business coaching and intuitive life coaching part time on the side. My husband and I have a nonprofit, and we also have rental properties. So, we have a lot of things in different areas. My husband does accounting, taxes, and he also does tax resolution. So, we have a lot of money flow. I'm going to give you some tips of things that have worked well for me. So let's jump right into allocating by percentage. So some of the basic things that I'm talking about, I actually learned from a book called Profit First. So if you've heard about it, it's an older book where he talked about paying yourself as the business owner first. So while we can't always maybe pay ourselves what we want to pay us at the beginning, I definitely think this book has like transitioned me into thinking more of like percentages. So I've taken a lot of different things that he talks about and kind of created my own. I will say, since my husband is my bookkeeper, accountant, tax guy, he does not love that I have multiple checking accounts, but it really helps my brain organize and see the flow of everything. So you have like one main account, which I labeled mine revenue. So everything flows into this account. And so if you had multiple businesses like I do, then you'd have different accounts for different ones. But let's just use my example as my chiropractic business because that one I've owned for 15 years. So that one has the most revenue in it. So everything flows into it. All the money we get into the revenue account. And then what I did to start off is I looked at all my expenses and I said, like, what out of that, what percentage every month am I paying for payroll? What percentage am I paying for operating expenses like rent, utilities, supplies, all of that I lump into my operating expenses. What percentage of that am I paying for taxes? So if you pay sales taxes, you might want to look at that too. Or if you pay like business taxes and building taxes, things like that. That's kind of what I lump everything into taxes. And then an owner's profit and a savings. So if you are an S corp like me and you can do distributions, this owner's profit account might be nice for you to then just distribute to yourself when you have money in it. As opposed to if you're only a payroll employee, maybe you won't have a account that is just an owner's profit. I do both. So I do a payroll in with my salary, just like with all my other staff. And then I also take a bit for a distribution. So as you know, with an S Corp, you can take distribution checks as the owner that aren't going to be taxed as much. So also another positive for being an S corp. So, and then a savings. So think of your savings as a smaller percentage account where, let's say something goes wrong, or as a chiropractor, we needed a new adjusting table, and that's like 10K. Or we needed a new X-ray unit. There's 30K. So if you have a savings that you're just building up over time, and you're anticipating every year having at least one big thing, right? Like, I don't know, we have like 15 computers here. I guarantee like half of them per year seem to have an issue or go wrong. So once you determine what percentage you are at currently, then look at it and see, like, let's say your operating expenses and overheads at like 75%. Well, that would be a little ridiculous. So what can you do to lower that percentage? So just ideas of things that I work with my clients since I do business coaching is like, what could we lower the bills to? So for instance, I just recently this year got another quote for trash service, and they were able to beat my current one. So I went back to the current one and with the quote and I said, hey, XYZ company is going to cut my bill in half. Do you want to be competitive and stay with that and give me the same rate that this other company is going to do, or should I switch my service to them? And within a day or two, the sales rep called and was like, yes, we will match that and expect that on your next bill. So sometimes just those calls can do. And let's say you're too busy to call. Well, then have like your office manager call or someone else that could call and see like, what could we do to lower? I feel like phone bills are notoriously high. Like, is there a different plan that you could do to lower bills, which would then lower percentage? Or what kind of subscriptions and automated services do you have that maybe you don't need anymore? Like, do you need to pay for the professional Zoom every month or professional StreamYard if you're not making videos and content? Or could you just do a basic or free plan? Just some things to think about. Look at your credit card statement, your bank statements, and see, highlight those, like which ones could be negotiable. I would say that payroll is most of our biggest expensive, and then rent after that. So payroll, I think, like, unfortunately, when we're slow, could we cut one of the hourly staff and have them go home early, right? I'm not saying to like fire people or let people go. Unless your business is doing that poorly, then you need to think about the business first. And then, every few hours that you let people go home early could make a difference in the payroll, especially if that's like one of your big expenses. And think about too, are the people that you have that are high on the salary, are they pulling their weight? Like, if you aren't, excited about their work, then maybe that's something else. That's a whole nother topic. But rent, if you are currently renting a space for business, is that the best use of your money? Is that the best space for you? Are you utilizing all of it? Could you sublease something? Could you get a different rent and lease somewhere else that is less costly? Because I know that these two things are like the biggest like pulls on the expenses. And then owner's profit. I don't know how many of us are paying ourselves like kind of like under the table or with distributions, but are you making sure that all these other categories are allocated to? Like, are you making sure that you have that savings set up, that savings account? And it doesn't have to be like a traditional like business saving account. I just label my checking account as saving. So all of my checking accounts are free through my bank. I just label them all so I know what they are. I also put in parentheses the percentage so I know when I am like allocating my money, what percentage that is, so I don't have to keep trying to remember. And I have an example to show you in a minute. But for your owner's profit and owner's draw, are you making sure that you're staying to your percentage that you want to allocate to you and your payroll? Some people actually are not paying themselves enough. And then again, some people are taking too much. And then at the end of the month, they're like, oh, I don't have any money left over for XYZ. Well, that's because it's poor planning and poor allocation. So for me, this system works really well so I can see and know what I'm going to have at the end of the month. And even with a business like chiropractic, we don't have a set revenue every month, which I'm sure a lot of you don't have a set revenue every month. And that's fine. You just kind of like average out things and then you know what you're going to push forward to. So that could be a whole nother topic also, but these are just kind of some basic bare bones for you. So my examples that I wanted to get to, OPEX, it's called operating expenses. I do about 35% into that. About 35% is payroll, 3% tax, 21% owner's profit, and 6% savings. Everyone can be different. I get it. I did not start off with these. These have been tweaked over like 10 or more years of tweaking these. So keep in mind, this is what works for me. My rent and mortgage, because I have a commercial building, is a lot more than it used to be. So I do feel like my operating expense is a lot more than it used to be, but is well worth it for me. So I'm willing to pay that. In the end of the month, if for some reason I don't have enough money for something, especially when we have big expenses, I would probably take less of my owner's profit and put it towards my operating expense or less in savings. And by less, I mean like I might do only a 3% allocation for savings and the other 3% I might tack onto my OPEX. So I might be doing a 38% allocation for that revenue. So when you're thinking, when are you doing this, Hillary, right? I'm doing this a couple times a month. I usually do at least twice a month around when bills are due or payroll. So we do payroll twice a month. I try to do it around that time so I know that I have enough in each of these accounts to pull from. So this helps me like plan and organize better. At the end of the year, I have a set amount for taxes. I don't know about you guys, but when I first started business 15 years ago, I didn't know that I needed to save a large chunk of money for taxes at the end of the year. And it was a shock to me when they're like, you owe $6,000. And I was like, oh, I didn't like save for that. I didn't know I needed to do that. So this really helps me like allocate and have money at the end of the year. And then what's great is if I've paid enough in taxes through my payroll that I don't need to pay any additional, well, then that's just a bonus for me. And that's just a better Christmas for everyone. The other way people do it is they like pay what's left over, right? And I get that you have to pay your bills, the mortgage, the payroll. I get that. But doing it with a percentage and allocation, you can see more clearly like where the money's going, and maybe you're spending money on things you don't need to, or maybe you're like, wow, once I break down my OPEX, I have a ton going out into marketing for Facebook, and I'm not getting any, return on that investment. Well, maybe that will show you that there might be a better way to use those marketing funds, or how else could you get your operating expenses down? That way, maybe you can pay yourself a little bit more, that type of thing. And these are all things that I do one-on-one with my clients also. So first, like we said, we're going to determine the percent already paid out. So look at your overhead, calculate the different categories that you want to make, cut out where you can, and then if there's more, we add more to the owner's profit and more to the savings. And like if you know you're going to want to buy a commercial building, maybe your percent in that you're going to put in the savings checking account is actually a little bit higher. Second, we're going to allocate the money 1 to 2 times a month to put into the account. So you take it from the main revenue account and divide the percentages and transfer the money into the other accounts. I do this on my app on my phone. It takes seconds. I do use a calculator because I'm not that good at the multiplying and dividing, all that stuff. And then in about 3 months or so maybe like quarterly, look and see if there's a balance. Like I always have extra money left in my OPEX, or always have extra money left in my salary account. Well, maybe that's a good idea to say like, I'm going to take an extra 1 or 2% from those accounts and put it to somewhere else, like savings, or put it into something for the owner distribution. That way you can have that money. Again, know what you're working for. So even if it's a 2-year plan to get out of your current situation and get into buying a building or a bigger lease, now's a great time to start putting extra money aside for that. So this was a quick overview and tutorial on allocating money with percentages. So I totally get it. If you're like, whoa, what's she talking about? She talks really fast. Again, I've done it for so long that to me, it's like second nature, but I would love to help you with that. Here's some ways you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. I do have a Facebook group called Coaching with Hillary. So I try to put little fun tips in there. Email is great. And I am accepting new clients. So with my coaching clients, I work either weekly with them or every other week. We do phone calls, and there's other different things that I can do, but we can work on this, work on getting your accounting set up correctly, work on like planning, strategizing, and implementing. So if you have like a ton of ideas just floating around because you're an ideas person, I'm great because I'm an implementer, and I can help you organize your thoughts and organize your business, get more money for you, see where you can cut some things, and just give you some more free time. So thanks for watching.